I think the biggest challenges that utility companies face right now is the ability to go in and clear their right-of-way from fire-related hazards, mainly big timber. There's been a lot of drought recently, some of it related to climate change or what have you, and that means a lot of pests have invaded the forests. And when they invade the forest, there's a tree or vegetation die-off, and that die-off has created a lot of fall issues with that vegetation. And because of certain environmental permits or habitat of certain species, they don't have the ability to clear as wide a right-of-way as they'd like to, because most utilities would like to clear a much bigger corridor. That's one thing. The other thing with wildfires is the aged infrastructure of their switchgear, transformers, insulators, things like that that could create ignition hazards. Because when fires happen, it seems like the de facto approach right now is, well, if it's not related to lightning, it's related to a utility. So there's always a rapid response on utilities to get out and at least start protecting their assets and looking at the assets of neighborhoods or whatever that might be, in peril. Not so much from fire, but from the post-fire effects, and post-fire being mostly erosion, debris flows, other mass wasting events. So it's uncanny, but often rainstorms do follow fires, and it seems like, particularly here in California, we've seen that repeated now time and time again, where we have a big precipitation event a few weeks or a month or whatever within a short period of time following a major fire. And so the utilities are focused on, what do we need to do to protect those assets? What we do is it's a watershed level assessment. It's combined with both remote sensing technology, bringing in the fire burn area maps. It's called BARE, Burn Area Rapid Assessment, that's done by the U.S. Forest Service. So we bring in that information, which is taken through satellite passes and what have you, and we synthesize that and then look at the remaining assets. We run some watershed level models, desktop models, very cursory. And then the next approach is to get out in the field and validate that. Because sometimes what we find is that remote sensing data, although it seems very technical and very specific, it may not necessarily bear out when you look at what's remaining in the remaining assets. And so if we identify assets that are in peril, then what we do is we develop an erosion mitigation plan to help them protect those assets. And that could include deflection of flood flows through various BMP features, or it could involve some broader erosion control measures, and then also helping them with the fallback, which is the reverse 911 evacuate order when precipitation events are predicted that would trigger mass wasting events. Because of our vast experience and portfolio projects, portfolio clients, and the staff experience that we have across the firm, we've been doing fire control since the mid-1990s, post-fire erosion assessments. I feel like we are, in a way, the gold standard, the go-to. People look to us to say, how did Geosyntec do that study? Even with respect to looking at constituents in the ash, because post-fire, a lot of homes and structures burn, and structures have lots of different type of stuff in it that creates constituents in the ash that are not the best for the environment, right, or for human contact. And so we've worked on some studies. We actually did the seminal studies for the California Department of Toxic Substance Control, DTSC, to identify and characterize residential burn ash. And that study was amended twice, and it still is the seminal study that's used across the Western United States for what are the hazards with residential burn ash.